Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Indeed, we do. Some great stories to dig in today. We've got taxes of the wealthiest Americans have been revealed. Some stunning, though ultimately not surprising revelations there, but fascinating to dig into that detail. We're going to start with that. Incredible Reagan brain from Art Laffer, total contempt for the poor. We'll get into that. Virginia governor's race, the Democratic primary was this week. Also, some breaking news about breaking points you don't want to miss. We've got, yes, indeed. We should have led with that because it's the most important news. We've got our monologues, of course. Brianna Joy Gray is going to join us to talk about the Dems' latest excuse for inaction. That would be Senator Joe Manchin, but we do, in fact, want to start with the revelation of those tax returns.
That's right. So we'll go ahead and throw this up there on the screen. This is from ProPublica. This is actually an amazing story. So the secret IRS files, trove of never-before-seen records, reveal how the wealthiest have avoided income taxes. Okay. So the most important top-line story here is that the highest income tax rate is 37% for people who have earnings about $628,300. Well, the true effective tax rate for the world's wealthiest, this is according to ProPublica, and their review of 25 of the wealthiest people in America, is 3.4% between 2014 and 2018. Here's the kicker, which is that in that same period, they earned a collective extra $401 billion, paid only a total of $13.6 billion in federal income taxes during those 5 years. So this is incredible because what it shows, Krystal, is yes, okay, they showed and they paid $13.6 billion. Okay, but during that time period, middle class, lower class, everybody basically, even, there's a famous adage like, oh, poor people don't pay taxes. Well, they have to pay like Social Security and FICA taxes.
Right.
Guess who's paying even less than them? The wealthiest people in America.
Yeah, I want to read you a little bit of this piece, which ProPublica did.
Yeah, amazing.
Phenomenal job here. And they say that they received a massive cache of documents detailing how the rich go about avoiding paying taxes. This appears to be the first story of many as they dive into that data. They've been sorting through it already for months. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for what more they reveal. But just to read from the beginning here, they say, in 2007, Jeff Bezos, then a multi-billionaire and now the world's richest man, did not pay a penny in federal income taxes. He achieved that feat again in 2011. In 2018, Tesla founder Elon Musk, the second richest person in the world, also paid no federal income taxes. Michael Bloomberg managed to do the same in recent years. Billionaire investor Carl Icahn did it twice. George Soros, famous liberal, paid no federal income tax 3 years in a row. They go on to say, many Americans live paycheck to paycheck, amassing little wealth and paying the federal government a percentage of their income that rises if they earn more. In recent years, the median American household earned about $70K annually and paid 14% in federal taxes. So that's your average American household, struggling paycheck to paycheck, 14% in federal taxes. Meanwhile, the richest paid 3%. Insane. Yeah. And they dig into the way that they hide their income. And of course, there's a lot of different strategies that they use. But one that they go into detail on is basically, they hold these shares that are worth billions of dollars. And rather than cashing out those shares and using that money to live on, because that would trigger a tax event, that income would then be taxable, although it would still be taxable at a lower rate than the income tax rate. They borrow against the value of those assets. So they, in essence, never have a taxable event. They do this their entire lives. And then when it comes to pass it on to their heirs, in theory, we have the estate tax or the death tax, as conservatives like to call it. There are a myriad of ways that they avoid paying that as well. So this wealth, billions and billions of dollars, is effectively never taxed. Meanwhile, regular wage earners,
you can't hide your wealth.
Working for a living, your income goes up, your taxes go up. Regular people are paying so much more in taxes than the richest among us, and it is truly disgusting. And what's depressing about it is it's very hard to know what to do about it.
I know. No, what's actually really stunning here is that Warren Buffett, for example, remember when Warren Buffett did that whole thing with
Yeah.
Obama? And he's like, we should pay more
2011 or
taxes.
so.
Yeah, get this. So his wealth growth was 24.3 billion. The total income he reported was 125 million, on which he paid taxes of 23.7 million, which means what? His true tax rate was 0.1%. Now, take Bezos. This is actually an even better example. In 2011, a year in which Bezos' wealth rose at 18 billion, he filed a tax return reporting that he lost money. His income that year was offset by investment losses. What's more, because according to the tax law, he made so little, he then claimed and received a $4,000 tax credit for his children. So, in the same year that his wealth rises by $18 billion, he not only paid nothing, he took advantage of the earned income tax credit and the child tax credit system in order to claim government money for his family. Now, that just doesn't sit right with me. Now, if you look even more, tax avoidance is striking. Between 2006 to 2018, which ProPublica actually has the data for, Bezos' wealth increased by 127 billion, but he reported only $6.5 billion in income. The 1.4 billion that he paid in taxes is sure, like it's a lot of money, but that is a true effective tax rate on his fortune of 1.1%. This is what they get away with all throughout the system. And it's actually very useful because a lot of the billionaire class and the multimillionaire class in New York will always use this talking point. If you look at the amount of taxes we pay in absolute terms relative to everybody else, we are like the vast majority of the system. I accept that to be true. However, go ahead and look at their true effective tax rate relative to everybody else. Just because they're paying more in the actual dollar amount, it is not fair necessarily that they are paying not just a lot less, like not just a little bit less, a lot less relative to the general population, especially the working man and woman who have to pay Social Security taxes, FICA taxes. They can't hide any of that wealth. So yeah, maybe they don't pay income taxes. They actually still have a higher federal effective income tax rate than the wealthiest people in America.
It's grotesque. Just to lay out one, I know we're hitting you with a lot of dollar figures, but this stuff really matters. Just to lay out one more metric for you, okay? So the way that the progressive taxation system is supposed to work is as your wealth grows, you pay more in taxes. That's the basic idea underlying this. That's what everybody sort of accepts, except for some weirdos on the right, some weirdos in the libertarian camp, that's the basic idea of fairness, right? The more you make, the more you're supposed to pay in. However, that is the polar opposite of what is going on here. So they crunched the numbers and found that for every $100 of wealth growth over the period that they studied, typical Americans paid $160 in taxes. So for every $100 of wealth growth, $160 in taxes. Jeff Bezos, for every $100 of growth, paid $1.09 in taxes. That gives you a precise number of how wildly unjust and unfair this current system of taxation is. And I thought they had a line in here that I want to read to you because I think this really sort of nails the core of why this is so incredibly enraging. And not just enraging, but also gets to the heart of this breakdown of a sense of trust and belief in this society. They say, look, there's a more fundamental issue than which programs get funded or not. Taxes are a kind of collective sacrifice. No one loves giving their hard-earned money to the government, but the system works only as long as it's perceived to be fair.
Yes, that's right.
And what you see from these numbers is this is wildly, wildly unfair. And the solutions to it, look, leftists have offered, wealth tax, which I think is a good idea. It's been shown to be a little bit complicated. Some countries have tried it. It's been hard to implement. The biggest problem is that what the rich do is they'll move their income from, if it's, if the taxation system changes here, they move it overseas to somewhere where they're going to get more favorable treatment. So it's actually a hard problem to really get at and really deal with. But what's really outrageous too, you can throw this next tear sheet or a tweet from CNN up on the screen. The Biden administration's response to this so far, Their response is to investigate how the tax information was released, not to investigate the billionaires or the tax code or any of that. They're enraged, apparently, and going to investigate aggressively the fact that this information got into your hands to start with. And again, I want to say kudos to ProPublica.
Yeah, I mean, come on, guys.
Right, and ProPublica says, look, this is a little bit of a tricky issue because you're talking about people's privacy, et cetera. They got this cache of information. They actually don't know who or where it came from.
And it came in a raw form.
Came in raw form, which speaks to some of the debates that we've been having over the years about like what journalists should do. I mean, the Hunter Biden emails,
this is
right?
An easy case, by the way.
The Russiagate, the WikiLeaks releases, all that stuff. There are all these questions and hand-wringing about whether to release information if the sources that it comes from are nefarious. ProPublica did the right thing here and said, look, we don't actually care or know where this data came from. We were able to validate that it was accurate, and that's why we're releasing it. It's exactly the right call.
No, it was absolutely the right call. And I think the part that really comes and strikes to me is this. The personal federal tax bill for the top 25 in 2018 was $1.9 billion. The bill for wage earners was $143 billion. So it's not like they're even paying an absolute dollar figure more than the rest of us. $143 billion is what regular working men and women paid into the system in 2018, while these people are only paying $1.9 billion. And here's the thing, given the pandemic, these people are going to pay even less. There are all sorts of employer tax credits and all this stuff which is passed through the American Rescue Plan, which I support for small business people. But when I see this grotesque nature in 2018, and then you see so many of the different programs that we are implementing now in the last year or so, and you see Jeff Bezos' wealth rise by $70 billion, we just know for a fact that they're probably going to pay even less than ever in one of the worst years on record for most Americans, and actually one of the best years on records for the billionaire class.
Imagine that people like Elon Musk are able to be like, yeah, I lost money this year. I mean,
it's just not true. And I like Elon, but like, it's like, dude, that's just not true.
Right. And it's even, I mean, obviously it's these people, you can think whatever you want to think about them, their intentions, good, bad, whatever. This is about an entire system that is disgustingly unfair. And it also ties into the paper we're talking about this week with Thomas Piketty, asking the question, I mean, when you see numbers like this, when you see massive skyrocketing inequality, when you see during a pandemic, while everyone else is getting screwed, these people getting richer and richer than ever at an accelerating pace. And you wonder, like, where's the backlash to that? Where's the class conflict to that? And that's where, the fact of these sort of like shiny object distractions, the hollow, like just linguistic signaling culture war type battles that Washington and our political elites tend to be focused on, that's all a distraction from this. Like this story exactly is what they do not want you to focus on, talk about, organize around, center your politics around. This is the core of it right here. So as ProPublica continues to release more data here and continues to release more information about these tax returns, we will certainly continue to be on it.
That's exactly right.